This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Switch gears, talk a little NFL draft, and pleased to be joined by Dane Brugler of NFLDraftScout.com. Jeff Duncan and myself often refer to their knowledge and know-all, and Dane, we really appreciate you jumping on the show. Let's just start off with the Saints. Look, they've got pick number 27. They've only got one pick on day 2 at number 91 overall. And, Dane, we do, of course, all of us do mock drafts and such. For me, as far as trying to project where the Saints go in this draft, may be more difficult than I've seen in the past several years. A, because I feel like their roster is a little more set than normal. And B, some of the positions of need maybe aren't as deep, say, at edge rusher. How has it been trying to project who the Saints might grab at number 27 so far?
No, I think you hit it. It's tough because for all those reasons, not only does the Saints roster, they don't have that clear-cut, glaring need. They could use, depth in certain areas, but there isn't that one, okay, we have to get this position on that roster right now. They can go in several different directions. Who knows? Maybe they trade back into the second round, bail altogether, pick up an extra day 2 pick, like you mentioned. They only have one right now. So there's a lot of options. We'll see how the first 26 picks play out and who might be available right now. I'm actually working on a 7-round mock that I'll have out here in the next few days, and I've got Josh Jackson to the Saints at 27. I think if he falls that far, all 32 teams are looking for more talent at corner, and I think he could provide that for him. A ball hawk, led the FBS in passes defended and interceptions last year. A guy that, cornerback in the first round back-to-back years. I think that's something that it's going to make your team better because, again, all 32 teams are looking for more corner help.
Dane, I can't tell you what you've done to the program now by picking Josh Jackson, because our very own Larry Holder had his mock today.
This morning.
And had Josh Jackson, and now we can't even fit inside our studio now because his head's gotten so big.
Dane and I together again. Oh, yeah. But
it's our worst nightmare, Dane. Thanks.
If he lasts that far, it makes sense. I think it's more of a question of will he be there. But, if I battled between corner, defensive line, and it's just, the pass rushers, I think they're going to take it off the board quickly. Defensive tackles, we've got, Mo Hurst out there, but he's off the board in this scenario. And so Josh Jackson made the most sense. I like where you're going with it.
Well, I got to ask you real quick, not Saints related, but just overall draft related. What do you think is going to happen at the top of this draft with the quarterbacks? I mean, I don't know if anybody knows for sure, but it sets up to me, Dane, as being one of the more intriguing, compelling drafts we've had because of the interest in quarterbacks and already the movement we've had by so many teams trying to get up to get some of these guys. What do you think that Thursday night's going to be like?
Oh, it's going to be fun, and no one knows. I don't think John Dorsey, GM of the Browns, knows 100% who he's going to take yet, number one. I think he probably has a good feeling, but, a lot of people around the league think it's Josh Allen. Some still think it's Sam Darnold. So it's just, we don't even know at number one which quarterback. We know it's a good quarterback. We just don't know which one. And then what do the Giants do it too? Do they sit put and take a quarterback? Eli Manning, 37 years old, even if he has a year or two left, how often do the Giants really expect to be picking top 5? I mean, you have a chance to get your quarterback. Can you pass that up? And, will the Buffalo Bills or Arizona Cardinals, whoever, offer enough to go up that high to get their quarterback? So it's just, there's so much intrigue, like you said, at the top of the draft. And that's what makes the draft fun. We don't know what's going to happen. We know it's going to be quarterbacks, and then, there's 5 quarterbacks we think will go in the top 12, top 15, and there's about 6 or 7 chairs, people looking for those chairs. So one of these teams are going to be left without a quarterback. Who's it going to be? We're going to see some more movement. The top 10, we're definitely going to see some trades. Quarterbacks, good chance we see them go 1, 2, 3. We could even see quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3, 4 with the trade action we can see. So it's definitely going to be fun.
Dane Brugler, senior NFL draft analyst for NFLDraftScout.com, joining us right here on Dunc and Holder. Follow him on Twitter at DP Brugler. Dane, it's been popular, I'd say maybe for web traffic, for many draft pundits to put the Saints with a quarterback, specifically in the first round. Do you see any viable possibility that happens?
I just don't know what quarterback would be there for them. Lamar Jackson, I think, will be long gone, and Mason Rudolph, to me, is a third-round pick. So what quarterback are you going to take there? Now, we know, last year there was a lot of interest in Pat Mahomes, but with Saints picking 11, they were in striking distance of, taking a quarterback. This year, I just don't think they're in striking distance unless they make a huge move to get up. If Lamar Jackson falls a little bit, say he's available at 14, would New Orleans try to get in front of Arizona at 15, try to get that quarterback? I mean, you can't rule it out. We know this team has, in the past, been very aggressive on draft weekend, going to get the guys they want. So you can't rule it out. But if they stay put at 27, I just can't see a quarterback going at that point. Because, again, I just don't think there'll be one available for them unless they really like Mason Rudolph. But I don't know. I just don't see it with him. Some teams disagree. Maybe the Saints are one of them.
Dane, I'm curious. As we've done our mocks over the past few weeks, I'm banging my head against the wall trying to find a pass rusher for the Saints somewhere after round one because, like you said, I think the top guys are going to be off the board early. Is there somebody out there, say at 91, if they stick where they're at, or maybe if they make a deal into the second round, is there someone with potential that you think the Saints could pull the trigger on in, say, round 2 or 3, if they have to wait that long, that could maybe develop into an elite pass rusher down the road?
An elite pass rusher? No, probably not. But I do think there's some talented guys. In the second round, you're looking at the Kimoko Toure from Rutgers, Josh Sweat from Florida State, guys that have potential, but maybe a little more flash than consistency. Maybe the king of that is Arden Key from LSU, who we know the Saints have shown some interest in him. But with Key, you have the off-field to consider. How much does he love football? Does he love it enough where he's going to reach his potential? Arden Key is a really tough one to figure out. But there are some pass rushers on day 2, rounds 2 and 3, and then even in round 4, where you think there's potential there. Guys like Jeff Holland from Auburn, Dorrance Armstrong, Kansas. So these are some names to consider. Actually, in my mock draft, I had the Saints going with a 3 technique, just because there wasn't that pass rusher, that clear pass rusher there for them to take. So I went with Deshaun Hand from Alabama, who can be that 3 technique. He can also line up outside on the edges. I think there's a lot to like about him to help upgrade that defensive line, even if it's not that speed demon off the edge.
And Dane, you mentioned Arden Key. What's your take on his stock right now? Where do you think he eventually goes?
It's a good question. I think there's no consensus on him in terms of how teams view him. He's probably going to fall out of the top 50, and then how much longer outside the top 50 does he fall? Does he, does he go taken late second? Does he go somewhere in the third? I think it's possible he could even last into the 4th round just because teams are so worried about him. And it's, again, a lot of issues from the consistency on the field, the durability just to stay healthy. He had the off-season shoulder surgery, and then during the season, he had a sprained MCL. He had a back issue, and there's just a lot going on there from a medical perspective. And then just again, is he going to put in the work to reach his ultimate potential off the field, do what's needed? There's a lot of concern about just his personal and football character, taking a leave of absence from the LSU program last season. Wasn't in football shape. At one point, he was up to close to 280 pounds. Now he's back down to 240. So which Arden Key are you getting? And so for all those reasons, he's really a wild card. I think he's probably going to go somewhere in the 3rd round. But if you went late 2nd or even early 4th, neither of those would surprise me.
Dane, one more. We'll let you run. Dane Brugler, senior NFL draft analyst from NFLDraftScout.com. One more local product here in New Orleans who I think could be a very good player in the NFL. Maybe I'm just jaded by having seen him up close for so many years. But cornerback from Tulane, Perry Nickerson. I noticed he's kind of jumped a little bit in your NFL Draft Scout.com grid over the last, say, month or two. Just what are your prospects for Perry Nickerson heading into the draft later on this month?
Well, the production stands out. 47 passes defended, 16 interceptions. He's a 4-year starter at Tulane. Obviously not the biggest guy, 5'10", 180 pounds. Tested really well. Ran a 4.32 at the combine, had a great 10-yard split. There's a lot to like about him as an athlete. To me, he reminds me a lot of Breon Buddy Calhoun, the nickelback for the Cleveland Browns, where not the biggest guy, but he competes. He has ball skills, and he has the play speed that you want. He's tough. The bigger thing it might be the medicals. They had some issues with had a major knee injury earlier in his career, and that's something that, for the long term, some teams are worried about. So the medicals are a little iffy, but as long as the doctors give you 2 thumbs up, Perry Nickerson is right there in the mid-round. I think he could be a solid nickelback in this league.
Hey, Dane, let people know about what you all do at NFL Draft Scout, because, there's such a glut right now of coverage on the NFL Draft, but you all have been there for a long time, and I think what stands out to Larry and I is just the depth of information you all have and the number of prospects that you all evaluate. It's mind-boggling.
Well, we treat it like we're the 33rd team, a scouting department that does all the work on these, thousands and thousands of players. You want all the pro day information, it's all up there on NFLDraftScout.com. And, if you really enjoy the NFL draft, you have to check out my draft guide. The best way to do that is on my Twitter at DP Brugler. It's an automatic PDF download. There's a link at the top. It's something that there's the level of detail and information in the guide is something I think is really going to blow people away. And the feedback so far has been great on it. So if you enjoy the NFL draft, I encourage you to check it out. I promise you will not be disappointed. Again, at DP Brugler, my Twitter, there's a link pinned at the top. It's under $10. It's an automatic PDF download. A lot of people, 450 reports, a lot of people enjoy it. So I hope people have a chance to check it out.
No doubt about it. Dane Brugler, senior NFL draft analyst from NFLDraftScout.com. I know you're swamped. I appreciate you taking a couple minutes out of your busy time and joining us. Appreciate it, Dane.
Anytime. Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Dane Brugler, one of the best in the business. We lean on him and Rob Rang over at NFL Draft Scout heavily. I have been for years and years and years.
Yeah, it's amazing. I know there's a lot of draft sites out there. I know a lot of people reference them. You can see it when we have our mock drafts up. People coming on saying, "Hey, I saw this listing here." I'm telling you, none of them are better than NFL Draft Scout. They are the best. Just go online, look at the depth of information and just how many prospects. It's impossible to find a prospect that they haven't evaluated. They have guys that you've never heard of at these small schools, Division II, Division III. They have a page up on each player like that. They've been doing it a long time. It goes all the way back to Bill Walsh days at San Francisco 49ers. So I highly encourage you. We have no dog in the hunt here other than we have to do this for a living, and we use this site all the time.
Absolutely. All right, let's take a break right here on the show, and when we get back, some interesting news going on up in Baton Rouge, up in the legislature, about daily fantasy sports. I want to get you up to date on what's going on literally as we speak. I know so many people want to play daily fantasy sports. It's illegal in Louisiana right now. That could be on the verge of finally changing. So let's talk about that when we get back here on Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder.
Your